they think like, well, what does it actually mean? They know what it means because other people are doing this for them in terms of content marketing, and they're probably doing some of it. But let's just start. If you could give us a definition of what is content marketing.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you a short answer and then we're going to kind of unpack it a little bit. But basically, what content marketing is, it's about building relationships by positioning you, the financial advisor, as the expert. And so, what you're doing with content marketing, you're pulling skeptical strangers to your website, right? And you're moving them through a series of engagement techniques and turning them into warm prospects who are going to sit down and take a meeting or Zoom call with you. And you do this by positioning yourself as an expert. And what do experts do? They educate, they coach, they share, they publish. And clients want experts managing their money. I mean, this is a marketing strategy tailored for advisors because we're all experts, who have no show and tell. So we have to market with content, educational content that addresses prospects' issues. Now, generally, this is a online strategy, Ellen, and it mostly covers online, but it can cover offline too. And primarily, it addresses a problem of pulling someone, a stranger, a skeptic, from the ether, from the internet, and pulling them to your website and turning them into a client. Now, what's nice about content marketing is that almost all of us have some kind of rudimentary content marketing system in place. We have those educational materials to hand out because, that's all we've got, right? We can't sell products. We can't sell somebody Boeing and they take delivery on Monday. All we've got is our education and our expertise. So we have to push that out to people and show them our education and expertise. They're very skeptical these days. They don't trust a lot of people. So they want to see some, evidence that you are the expert. And experts publish. They have educational materials that they hand out. But in content marketing, it's not enough just to hand out the materials and be done. That's kind of halfway. That's not even halfway. That's like a third of the way. What you also have to do is you have to optimize your material. And then you have to choose distribution channels that are relevant to your audience and develop a strategy that moves your audience towards that one-on-one. So in content marketing, you're always looking for touch points or inflection points, or what we call them in marketing is conversion opportunity. And conversion, I mean by that is you're advancing people to the next step in your funnel. And you know about sales funnels, marketing funnels. So we want to keep moving people down our funnel. So we set up a series of touch points or inflection points that move people down your funnel and hopefully into a relationship with you. So content marketing, 1, you don't talk product, you talk pain points. 2, you don't cold call, you build relationships. And 3, you don't advertise, you educate. All right. So let's kind of unpack that. What's content, first of all? Maybe that's a good place to start, right? Just to make sure we're all on the same page, we know what we're talking about. So basically, content falls into 4 categories. You've got your written word, you've got audio, you've got video, and you've got images. And then you all know the examples of content. There's emails that you send out to people, and you have white papers and ebooks, infographics, blog posts, video blog posts. You've got your bio. That's a piece of content. You've got podcasts, a calculator. If you put a calculator on, videos, it doesn't have to be just written word. Videos, podcasts, calculators, that is all content. And these are all different forms of content. And yes, you can have them all, but you don't need them all. All you need is the ones that are most relevant to your niche. What would resonate best with them to get them to move to the next touch point? Okay, so pretty simple. You get the content in there, you get your distribution channels, and you get a good messaging.
So let me ask a question on some of this content, and maybe specifically the written content, or I guess now the video content as well. When I had my advisory practice, my broker-dealer had the ability to give us a subscription to this company that had all sorts of articles we could pull from.
Mm-hmm.
We did that periodically. It was hard because a lot of them didn't have my voice and I was comfortable
Right.
writing, but it didn't
Right.
have to go through compliance. So like what's your opinion of those types of content where it's just kind of it's not just, but they're put out there that an advisor can pick and choose, it's already written for them?
It's a start. It's a start. It's better than nothing. Put it that way, and all our firms and, everybody knows that we have to give people something. And so, if the best you can do is some of the generic content that your firm provides, I mean, that is a start. But even with, I've known, a lot of advisors cannot, create much on their own. This was back earlier, a couple years ago. Now that it's freeing up a little bit. But, some advisors are very regimented to, you can only send out these articles from our database. But, there was this guy in Wisconsin, an advisor, and, he had a big, huge, I guess, article database of estate planning articles. So he would pick the best estate planning articles that were most relevant to his audience, and he would package them into a series of drips. And then maybe he might write a little note on one of them and said, just something like, thought you would be interested. This is something we might discuss in a upcoming meeting. But he would send them out on a periodic basis. Keep that level of communication high, even with this generic material. And because it came from him and it had his name on it, I mean, it was still branded to some extent. There wasn't really a picture on it or anything, but it had a note from him. So it was a rudimentary content marketing system. And then, he would send out these strips and he would follow up with a phone call and hopefully get a meeting. So, I mean, in a way, we have been doing this for years. But yes, if we can get away from the generic stuff, because you're not the only advisor sending out those generic articles, So we want something that differentiates you a little bit more than just that your firm's, boilerplate article that, they may have seen from somebody else, especially a prospect may have seen it from one of your colleagues or a competitor. So
Yeah.
you
And
want
that's where I
to,
think it's really it it would be a negative, right? If they get it from you and someone else. Even if the someone else is in another part of the country, it'll be very clear that you didn't create that. Wendy, do you have a suggestion of how often someone should be dripping on someone, whether it's whatever kind of content it is? Is this weekly? Is it monthly? Should it be in a certain period of time? What's your suggestion on that?
yes, I think ongoing communication is key. It's key to marketing yourself, staying top of mind, building a niche, and the ultimately building a community. And so, yeah, I know a lot of advisors don't want to blog, and I don't blame them. Blogging's intensive. It's, you got to think of what articles, you got to write it out, you got to fact check, so it's a tough thing to blog. But and I don't think that you have to blog to have a good content management. So you don't at all. But if you're not going to blog, then you do have to substitute something that is consistent and ongoing communication scheme system. Okay, maybe it's video blogs, where you get up and you give a monthly summary, or not monthly, excuse me, a weekly summary of the market on Friday. That's great, or on Saturday morning or something. Fine, a video blog, maybe it's a podcast that you put out, and maybe it's it could be weekly, that's a lot, maybe a monthly podcast on some sort of issue that's relevant to your niche. But I do think the more that you can communicate with your market and your audience, whether it's, if you can do weekly, that's great. And even if maybe weekly, you could send out more generic material, but that it's like a market commentary, that's a weekly thing. But if you can do something at a minimum, I'd say monthly, at a minimum. If you can do it every other week or a blog post, once a week, that's great. And you'll be better for it. But at a minimum, go monthly with something interesting. And you know what? I mean, I'll tell you one really good way to go weekly, and it's very easy for you to do, is just do what they call a curated newsletter of interesting articles in the media. You read the Wall Street Journal every day. So they probably have a personal finance article that is relevant to the people that you're serving. Just, clip it, maybe write just the headline and the little deck that they have under the headline and the link. And then you can, at the end of the week, take 5 or 10 of these little clips that you collected through the week and call it What I'm Reading This Week. I think it'll serve you too. Send it out to your people. They're going to love it. And they might call you up and say, what do you think of that? With that RMD legislation. And then now you've got another content, you've advanced the conversation, and you're building the relationship. So
Yeah, and
ongoing communication is really important.
that's such a great idea. When you were sharing that about curated content, I was thinking of Tim Ferriss's newsletter. So if any of you aren't familiar with out there, he's got this super popular podcast, and he years ago wrote the 4-Hour Work Week. He's very well followed. He sends out his newsletter every Friday, and it's basically just that. Here's what I'm reading. Here's what I'm following. Here's a product I love. It's super short. I can scan it if I'm, have time. I know what to expect from that. And I imagine it's, I'm sure he has people who help him with that, but you can have people who help you with that too. You don't have to do all this on your own.
You don't have to do it yourself. You can go, hey, be sure to put down that RMD article from Wednesday. Tell your assistant, your marketing person, and you're gone. That's as much involvement as you need to do sometimes.
And I would say I was recommended to send out a newsletter and blog every week. And I have 2 different kind of companies I do that under for my business. And once I knew I had to do it every week, mine goes out every Thursday evening, and I have another one that goes out for a different kind of business or program every Tuesday morning. I just did it. And sometimes they're long thought out things that have just been up for me. And sometimes it's a cute video I found that I put a message on, or I'll do a video. Like, it doesn't have to be like the most perfect, well-written work of art. Now, I'm not saying you want to send out crap, and it has to, of course, go through your compliance if you've got that.
Right.
But sometimes it's good to just get something out and not have to have it be this masterpiece, because I think it keeps people from sometimes touching people and sharing their good information because they're so worried it's not perfect.
Right. And that's, people want to see the human, especially in financial services, because you will be sending them a lot of really hard to get through white papers and how-tos and, lots of language. So these little like weekly quick messages from the desk, you're their expert. So they realize that anything you think or see or share is going to be important. And they just like being in the loop, and they feel included. And everybody wants to belong to something, a community of some sort, and they like being included, and they like being their financial advisor, kind of guiding them towards, what they should be thinking about. That's why they hired you. So it's hard to over communicate. It'd be very difficult to over communicate. I haven't seen an advisor yet do that.
What I love about the video idea you brought up, there's an advisor who signed up for the Extraordinary Advisor Program, and he sent me a video that he recorded. It was kind of a market update. And what I loved about it is he was sitting in his office. It was professional behind him, but not like uptight, uncomfortable. He was relaxed and friendly on camera. I felt like I knew who he was. I don't really, I haven't met him in person clearly, and we've had just a little bit of exchange. And I thought it was a beautiful way for him to introduce himself. And this advisor also had on his webpage a great video that introduced his whole firm. And it was well produced, but not like a Hollywood production. But you really got a sense of who the people were there. And I just thought it was so beautiful as a way to have people know who you are even before they walk in the door.
I think sometimes slickness doesn't earn you any brownie points. I mean, I would have maybe 1 or 2 professionally produced videos, But then a lot of people would much more prefer to see the behind the scenes type video, the more relatable you just sitting at your desk talking, and maybe you're a little angry today, or maybe you're a little sad today, but that's what makes you relatable. That's what engenders trust. They can trust you because you're being open and vulnerable and sharing with them. So I think that communication and relaxed communication, because you've got plenty of formal stuff that you will have to send them and deal with, but that relaxed communication makes you more human, and makes them like you better.
Mhm. Have you, any of the advisors you've been working with or you've been watching, Wendy, done free webinars and use that as a way to give content marketing, and then from there move people into more of a conversation or into their sales funnel? So you've got their email address and you can start to drip on them. Is that a strategy you've seen working with
Oh
advisors?
yeah. Well, I mean, I think every content marketing strategy should have some aspect of events in it. All right, because one of the things we talked about, I was just mentioning to you, you got a funnel that you're trying. Okay, we got a funnel. Okay, you can go to wendyweb.com. I've got a great graphic there, and you can, but I'll just try to walk you through it now. So you got a funnel, you got a sales funnel. You've seen them. They call them client journey maps now, but they're basically sales marketing funnels. And so what you want to do is you want to move people down your funnel through the series of touch points or conversion opportunities, right? So at the top of the funnel, you want to put in the types of content that are going to engage people, because people come to you usually via, they either know who you are or they're coming to you via a search. And a search means that they have a problem that they either have now or they anticipate having. And so they're looking for information, education, maybe a point of view. All right. So most of the time, I just saw this purging survey, and I know this was from 2018, but they were saying that 41% of people come to advisors through Google, and that what was the other ones? 19% through SEC advisor search, 20% through Facebook, oh, and 27% through LinkedIn. Okay, so, and that was in 2018 before the pandemic. So I imagine now those numbers are up to 60, 70%. So if they're coming to you through a search, they don't know you. So they're gonna land on your website, and you have got to have something immediately to engage them with. All right. So at that point, you should probably have, some evergreen material. So because they're coming to you, say, because it's a woman manager, she wants to retire in, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. Um, and she is looking for information on that. She's doing a Google search. So she lands on your page. Do you have anything that will engage a woman about to retire? And this happens to be your niche, say. Well, you should. You need
So
some evergreen content. Put a report on there. So she immediately engages with your website and thinks, "Oh, this fella knows what I need." And so then you've got your first level of engagement. Now, that's
wait,
great,
Wendy,
but you
before you go on, hold that point.
okay.
Just explain what evergreen material is for people who don't know what
Oh,
evergreen
okay.
means.
Evergreen is material. It's like a white paper or a report. It's something like, steps to what to do if you want to retire as a woman manager in 3 to 5 years. I mean, you'd have a better headline on it, of course. How to retire in 3 to 5 years. And but it's aimed at women, and you can keep it on your website. Maybe just update it once a year. You don't have to keep updating it all the time, but it is maybe a little meatier report, something that people can dig into a little bit. So you put that on, you want that one of the first things on that people see on your homepage or on your website, so that they will engage with you. Because as you move these people down the funnel, you're going to put them through a series of engagement techniques. So now she's reading your report, say. So what you need to do is to have what they call a lead magnet or a content upgrade at the end of that report, or even throughout the report, that says, hey, if you want a checklist of the 10 steps to take a year before retiring, you need to give me your email and I will send you this checklist, or you'll have it immediately. So that is the next inflection point. We want to get that email, because you can't do a lot of marketing without an email. And so that's the first mini yes. Give me the email. And so once they give you the email, now you might be in the middle of the funnel where you're engaging. And now is a great time to have webinars. You were asking about webinars, and to bring in those webinars and the podcasts and maybe more in-depth reports and ebooks and tools, calculators, because we want to get them in, pull them in, and bring them closer to you so they feel very comfortable taking a meeting with you. So there are a lot of advisors that do webinars at the top of the funnel to bring in people, but I got to tell you, that's very hard to sell. I mean, you're going to have to promote it well and put it out there and get it right to the right audiences. And you can do it, and it can work great, But just for our simple content marketing system, unless you're already doing webinars, I would save some of those for the middle of the funnel, so that it's an engagement technique, so that they start feeling comfortable with you, and they feel, oh, he's a okay person. I could talk to him. I could go have a beer with her, and that way they'll feel comfortable with you, and then they'll accept your invitation to your ice cream social or your wine tasting, and then finally they will accept your call or agree to take a meeting or a Zoom call, and that's the end goal of content marketing.
Yeah. So, what I want to say for you listening and want some examples of this, one of the things I've done over the years was not only get information from other people, but notice how they're doing it for good examples. And so, Horse's Mouth, I think, is brilliant at this. And as I mentioned, I got to know Wendy because we're working on this Extraordinary Advisor program. And if one way you can look at how to watch a webinar and then see the follow-up steps is to just watch what we're doing there. Hopefully you'll be interested in it. But even if you're just looking at it from a marketing standpoint, so if you go to horsesmouth.com/superpower, you'll be able to rewatch a webinar I gave on finding your superpower, a lot of really great content in there. And then a description of the Extraordinary Advisor program. And the idea behind that is that when you're out there giving webinars or giving information, people are getting a sense of who you are. And I built my entire financial advisory practice at the beginning through doing free speeches for people. And I would give them information. It was like a warm lead then once they came in. What I love about what Wendy's sharing is there's really a system behind it. Okay, so then how do you follow up? And what is the email strategy after that? And how are you touching them so they get a sense of who you are? And Wendy said at the beginning about setting yourself up as an expert. The great thing about putting content out there is your reputation will grow with people you don't even know. I mean, I got a phone call from a bank in Chicago, and this woman's like, "Oh my gosh, I've been following you. I have no idea." I had connected with this woman on LinkedIn, but I had built a reputation, whether it was deserved or not. I mean, I hope it was, but anyway, it was this way of looking and people believing you're an expert. And that's so, it's so important. Years ago, I used to write a column for the local paper, and people just assumed if they saw your name in press that you knew what you were talking about, if you were writing a column or whatever. So
that still applies today. If you publish, people think you're an expert, and they want experts managing their money. And the wealthier, clients you want to serve, the more expertise they want and the more content they are wanting to see from you. Even if they don't read it, they want to know you have it and it's there for them. And also, you got to remember this. This is a really important part of content marketing. Content makes you shareable. So if you have content, a webinar or an article or a checklist or a quiz on your website or whatever, your clients can take that piece of content, that checklist, and give it to their friends, give it to their kids, give it to their, colleagues, whomever. And that is going to bring in referrals. And you want to be shareable. And that's a very important benefit in content marketing. Not only it brings in leads. You want to throw off leads, but you want to also throw off some referrals. And you can't do that just through word of mouth always, but it always helps if you have some content that people can share about you.
So, Wendy, I'm imagining an advisor sitting out there going, okay, this totally makes sense. I understand that I'm on other people's lists. I know I want to do this, but oh my gosh, how am I possibly going to do this? I'm not a good writer. I don't know how to set up all this stuff on MailChimp or wherever they're setting it up. It feels overwhelming. So how, and let me first say that I think you should be out there hiring someone like Wendy Webb, because you don't have to be an expert on this, or you're someone in your office, your marketing manager can help with this, or get a get consulted by an expert like Wendy. But how do you lower the stress level for people of feeling like this is, I get it's important, but it feels like too much for me?
Yeah, I know, and it can be important, but content marketing systems can be very simple to begin with, and then you just, add to it as you grow. And one of the great ways to get started with content marketing is in the advisor client program at Horse's Mouth, because we put in so much content. We've got like there's a every month there is a financially themed personal finance, a financial insights article that you can send to clients. You've got Charlie Sherry on the Horse's Mouth main site. He's writing a monthly client letter that you can download, edit, brand. In advisor client again, you've got the key data card and the last chance checklist and all sorts of little checklists that you could put together in a schedule, and that could be your yearly content marketing system, and you can brand them and all that. So that's good. It's still, yeah, it's still a little generic because, that is available to many advisors. But again, you can either brand it with your picture and notes, or you can take it and add to it. And then, say hire someone like me or get your marketing director on it and, add to the things that you find on Horse's Mouth and in the advisor client. And then some of the stuff that your firm has. Don't discount your firm's material. They put a lot of money into creating some of that content, and some of it can be very good. You just have to, position it right for your audience. But start simply. Basically, all you need is like a website, yeah, LinkedIn. You want a LinkedIn page so that helps your SEO, search engine optimization. You want a Twitter account just to follow along, a Facebook page again, a business page again that just helps you with your SEO again, and and some emails, and that's very simple. And if you just I would optimize all that material. I mean, you want calls to action on it, you want links, you always want to think about this when you have to put something up. What will they do after they read this or after they view this? Where do I want them to go next? And so guide them there. Put on a call to action, put on a link, tell them. And now the good thing to do is go check out my bio for my credentials, where you'll see a great video of me talking to Ellen and talking about her personal finance issues. So I mean, you always want to lead them somewhere, to finally lead them to your calendaring, your appointment software, and they set up appointment. But just you can make it really simple, but just think through each piece of it and make sure that it's doing something for you. You're just not throwing it out there. I mean, is it actually working to build relationships for you, and does it cast you in the best light as an expert? And you can make a very simple system, maybe a monthly newsletter or monthly article and some postcards and some phone calls and maybe an event or two, and that's your communication system. And then your content marketing system, and just look and see how many, if your leads come up, if your referrals come up, and if they are, then just keep doing what you're doing and maybe a little bit more of it. You don't have to do it all at once.
Good. Beautiful. That's a beautiful way for us to kind of tie a bow around this really important discussion of content marketing, making sure that you are putting yourself out there in a really great light so they know what an expert you are. And Wendy, thank you so much for this information. Again, go check out Wendy's website at Wendy Webb, and it's Wendy with an I.
Yes.
I think that's like it was in Peter Pan.
Well, my dad wanted a little girl named Wendy, so he named me after her. And then I guess mother changed it from a Y to an I. I don't know,
Because it's
but there's
fancy.
one last thing I wanted to say about content marketing, Ellen. We have a big competitor in content marketing, and you have to watch out for it. And you know who does content marketing really, really well? The robos do it great. So
Mm.
you have got to be doing some sort of content marketing. You've got to do it better than a robo, you know? All right. But that's easy to fix. You just put up some content on your website that talks about to your clients and talks about your services and positions you as the expert. Okay. But you got to do it better than the robos.
That's a really good point because I can think of some that I'm on their list and their stuff is really good. Yeah,
It
so
is
do it
good.
better than the robos and do it like you so they get your personality.
Yes,
That's the thing I like
yes,
the
that
least
is better
about.
than the robo. They are
Yeah,
computerized and we all know it. So you adding some human element puts you 100% over the robos, but they got to see it. They've got to see you and they've got to see something from you.
good. Well, thank you so much, Wendy. And again, go check out Wendy Webb's website, WENDI,
Yeah,
and Web with two B's. And she's got
yes.
great examples on there. You'll see examples of her work. And, again, how I got to know Wendy was through working on the Extraordinary Advisor program, which I'm so excited about. And for you to learn more about that and also watching it for your own edification and also smart ways that we've used Wendy to help us with marketing, you can go to horsesmouth.com/superpower. It's a replay of a superpower webinar that I gave. And this was about how to find your superpower, how to build your differentiation in the market. And it's so important. And on that page, you can also click through to find out more about the Extraordinary Advisor Masterclass. And this is a class we've created because the world is different now. There is so much changing in the world. And if you do business the way you've always done them, my fear is that you're going to get left behind. And
Yep.
in this program, we're going to share information about how to increase your influence, your impact, and your income. It's a 7-week course. You can learn more about it there. Also, there's a button on there that if you want to set up a short call with me, if you're thinking maybe this makes sense, but I'm just not sure, you can get to my scheduling program and we can have a conversation about that. I'm going to share something with you guys that's a little bit ironic for someone who's a prosperity and abundance expert. But here's the thing. What I've been told by Sean Bailey and Doug at Horse's Mouth is that a lot of times people don't sign up for the course until a few weeks before, and it starts November 9th. And I have a little bit of worry. I want it to be like this great group of people, which I know intellectually and deep down inside it will be. But I'm encouraging you to go ahead and sign up early. And there's a couple benefits for that. First of all, we're still in early bird pricing. So there's a $200 discount on the investment for the program. And also, if you're one of the first 25 people to sign up, we can have a one-on-one conversation. And one of the things that I think I'm really good at is getting clear super quick about what people need to do in their business to reach their goals and hit their financial goals and any other goals that they have in their business. So it'd be really productive for you. So thank you for doing that. And as always, I'm so grateful that you were here with us today. I'm, really grateful to Wendy for sharing this terrific information. I hope you will be out there sharing your expertise. I know you are an expert. You're already an extraordinary advisor. You can do more and increase your expertise or you're showing your expertise in the market. So go ahead and put information out there and have a plan. And as always, my question to you is how big of a positive impact are you willing to make? And I'll just add a little asterisk. Sharing your content is a wonderful way to have a bigger impact. Remember, be great and create great every single day.